Christopher Markowski is on the line with us. He is the CEO of Markowski Investments and host of the nationally syndicated radio show, The Watchdog on Wall Street, watchdogonwallstreet.com, the website. Christopher, welcome.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I am fine. Thanks for joining us. You wrote this piece called Socialized Europe, Try Socialized America. You want to give us the elevator speech on it?
Well, yeah, it's just we're heading down, in my opinion, and it's not in everybody's opinion, absolutely the wrong path in the size of the government that we have. And you're taking a look at what's transpiring over in Europe. And, you know, I'm one that spent a lot of time there, has a lot of family over there, and it's imploding. And
well, actually, it's not.
What's that?
Actually, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Europe is a big place. Germany has arguably one of the best economies in the world, and they're the largest country in Europe. France is doing fairly well.
If you take a look at their books, okay, and you actually take a look at the amount of money that they owe, they are imploding. And Germany is very, very frightened at the fact that they're going to have to start bailing out all these other countries.
That's just because of the euro.
I have family in Italy, and I have family in Greece.
Yeah, well, those are the weak sisters. But, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Norway, and Germany, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, they're all doing fine, thank you very much.
But they want out of the euro because the entire system and the way that the thing was set up in the sense that...
Well, they should get out of the euro, but we don't have a euro problem here. We control our own currency. So why do you think that we're going to go down the same road? Or are you advocating each state should be able to issue their own currency, or we should go back to the Civil War?
Once you keep printing and printing and printing, eventually, just like it happened in Greece, Greece was borrowing money at the same rates that the Germans were borrowing money
No,
at.
not quite so much. Greece set up that scam with Goldman Sachs in order to get into the euro. Based on the drachma, and Goldman Sachs phony baloneyed the books.
When you take a look at our numbers and you take a look at our books and you see that the amount of money that we're going to owe, do you think that we're going to be able to borrow money at these rates forever? They're freaking out in Italy right now because their borrowing rates just went back to the 20-year mean.
We're the largest economy in the world. We own our own currency. We've got net wealth in the hundreds of trillions of dollars in this country. Absolutely. Japan right now has a debt to GDP ratio of over 200%. Ours isn't even 100%.
We should just keep printing more?
I am not suggesting. The frame of that question is preposterous. We are not existing by printing money. When you borrow
60% of our debt last year was bought by the Federal Reserve.
Great. If we own our own debt, that's why Japan is able to sustain their debt. They own virtually all of it.
Tom, if you were to run something like that on your own, they'd put you in jail.
I'm not a country.
Does it make any difference?
No, it does make a difference because the rules for a business and the rules for a family are not the same as the rules for a country.
Eventually, you're going to hit a wall. You can't do it forever. Once people
No, of course not. This is why President Obama wants to raise taxes on rich people.
And people, when they're going to stop believing after a certain period of time, that's when you're going to have a big implosion. This
is not the confidence fairy, Christopher. This is not the confidence fairy. This is real world economics, number one. And number two, President Obama is saying, let's do something about this. You've got 3 Republican presidents who ran up more debt. Actually, Ronald Reagan ran up more debt than every president from George Washington and Jimmy Carter combined. He tripled our national debt. Nobody had ever done that in the history of this country. And then George Herbert Walker Bush added another $2 trillion to it, took us up to $5 trillion. And then George W. Bush added another $5 trillion to it. 2 unfunded wars, Medicare demand that you can't negotiate the drugs, and this huge tax cut for millionaires and billionaires, which led to
Obama added another $5 trillion as well. Okay, so they're all responsible.
Which led to a situation where Obama found himself in the middle of a disaster. And now he's trying to walk back those tax breaks. And guys like you are saying, oh, no, let's not stop the taxes.
The Buffett tax will raise $5 billion. $5 billion a year.
That's nonsense.
So if we balance, yes, it is true. If we balance
that is absolute
budget,
nonsense.
Yes, it is. If we balance our budget, it will take 500 years to pay off our national debt. 500 years. Listen, I'm all for it. You want to raise taxes? Let's cut a deal. This is how we go about raising taxes in this country. We balance the budget. We put it into the Constitution where we cannot spend more than we take in. Then we go to the American people.
Oh, that's really brilliant. So have you ever read the history of World War II or the Civil War?
What's that?
Have you ever read the history of World War II or the Civil War, the fiscal history?
And obviously, that's a war type.
Do you know what our GDP was? Our debt to GDP ratio was at the end of World War II.
But you're comparing. Do you think that we're going to have the type of influx in regards to people coming into this?
No. Just a very simple question, Chris. Do you know what our debt to GDP ratio was at the end of World War II?
And England's was too, and England never recovered. I mean,
what was our debt to GDP ratio? Very simple question, Chris. What was our debt to GDP ratio at the end of World War II?
I don't know.
It was 127%.
Okay,
we were wildly in debt. Now here's the question: how did we pay that off?
We grew our economy.
Right. And how did we grow our economy? What did Eisenhower do? He borrowed more money. He built a national highway system. He put millions of young people through school.
We're going to borrow another $1 trillion and we're going to spend it on what?
I would number one, we've got a $2 trillion infrastructure debt. Are you going to ask a question and not let me finish a sentence?
It doesn't work that way. Okay,
it does work that way. Dwight Eisenhower proved it works that way. And he was a Republican.
No, he had a huge technological revolution over these past several decades that has brought growth, and we've had ups and we have downs. But to think that we're going to be
no, we have not. We had 3 consecutive decades after Eisenhower started this: the 1950s, the 1960s, and the 1970s, where we had GDP growth of over 3.2% per decade, the first time in the history of the United States, arguably the first time in the history of the world, and it was because they were investing in America. And you want to say stop investing in America?
We got to spend more. I'm not saying to stop. I say invest more in America. Okay.
So you want to make up that $2 trillion infrastructure deficit we've had since Reagan stopped building roads? And Chris, you're not even you. I don't get it. You want to have a conversation, but I'm not allowed to finish a sentence?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I think you were talking.
Go ahead.
So how are you going to? So you don't want to make up? Ronald Reagan stopped spending money on schools, on roads, on hospitals, on airports. Basically, we stopped our whole infrastructure. You look at the bullet trains in France. You look at the trains in Germany. You look at the trains in Japan. You look at the trains in China. They're all these sleek, modern things. What do we have? Amtrak.
Yeah, I know.
You don't want to put a penny into Amtrak, do you?
Spain too. They're working real well. I mean, that's what we need. We need more ideas that lose money. I mean, come on. If the trains would work, the private sector would fund it. It's just that simple. The private sector would fund it if it.
Chris, do you know who funded the trains in the 1880s?
In Orlando, which is an 80-mile trip.
Chris, do you know who funded the trains in the 1880s? That built the American Revolution, the Industrial Revolution in the United States?
Choo-choo trains.
It was Abraham Lincoln. He gave $2 trillion in today's money to 5 guys: Jay Gould, Samuelson.
Infrastructure from the 1800s and what we had to do to move goods and services across this country to today.
So let's build a modern transportation infrastructure.
People are not going to get on these bullet trains. The only place where could actually work in this country is in the New York, Washington, D.C. area, all the way from Boston, New York, Washington. That's the only place where we have the population where it would make that grow. We're running trains.
Then why is it that China just finished building a high-speed rail system, the equivalent of Chicago to New York? It took them 5 years, and with that infrastructure, they are now eating our lunch. They're opening industrial manufacturing sectors all the way in from our equivalent of New York, Shanghai, all the way into their equivalent of Chicago. I forget the name of the interior city. It is rocking. Their economy is growing at 8% a year. It was growing at 10%.
Where were they coming from just a couple decades ago? I mean, come on already. I mean, you can't make.
They couldn't have done this if they had listened to their conservatives who are saying we can't spend money on this.
You want to emulate China? I don't. I most certainly don't want to do what they're doing over there. Come on already. You've seen the.
So you don't want to build infrastructure in the United States. You don't want the United States. In 3 years, China's going to be the number 1 economy in the world.
Good, but that's not bad. That's a good thing. They have over 1 billion people for crying out loud.
So you want to emulate China?
Huh?
So you think we should emulate China?
No, we shouldn't emulate China, but we should hope that they grow. They've got all these people there. That's great. We want all these countries
So it's
to grow.
great when they grow, but you don't want to grow.
You don't grow, okay? You're not going to grow this country by the government picking and choosing and spending. They don't do a good job of it.
I would disagree strongly. Chris Markowski, you can read all about it at Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Thank you, Chris.